Right. Lately, a lot of governments don't want their people to notice crime statistics, and they claim that doing so constitutes hate speech. Now, we've talked many times about hate speech, but today we're going to show a different angle. So, think of it this way: there are many reasons why governments put forward hate speech. One thing is, for instance, that if you have an agenda that is unpopular, you don't want people to be talking about it. That's one thing. Another thing is to placate members of minority groups or pressure groups that give you political support. But there's an extra thing I want to talk about today, which is the effect it has on people with respect to demoralization. Because you could say that hate speech laws aim to make native people of Western cultures hate themselves, because on the one hand, we are supposed to listen constantly to crimes made by native people, but no one is on the other side comfortable or allowed to talk about crimes committed by people who are non-native in their countries. And there are there's lots of punishment, marginalization. There are economic fees, also economic, let's say, punishment and stuff. So that's the thing we're going to explore here. Now, we are going to go to Germany, but before we're going to go to Germany, you can visit a website. We have a career opportunity for you, for production manager. Go to lotuseaters.com, check it out. The winner is going to win a job and also a compilation of high-quality twerking videos. Now, let's go to Germany. I see that you didn't appreciate the...
What are you talking about? What?
Yes, the person...
Is this just whoever gets the job, you're going to send them that?
Whoever gets the job will receive a lot of funny videos with twerking.
This is the Stelios special.
That's not a promise,
as we
legally.
say. On the thing that you were saying there about people not supposed to know about foreign-born crimes, shall we say, being committed. You've covered this before, Callum. The X could be here, Y could be here, that Raw Egg Nationalist constantly does, which is that if it is a foreigner that's committed the crime, if it's a non-white person committed the crime, they will use any euphemism to try and hide that in the headline. So I did the thing that you did and just typed in Raw Egg Nationalist could be here, and you get daycare could be here, he thought. I hate daycare. Gifted and talented students could be here, he thought. They'll use anything. This is where the scholars comes from. This is where joggers come from. Two men could be here. My new favorite one, massive goons could be here, he thought. I hate massive goons.
Right. So we are going to talk about a very sad thing. We're going to talk about gang rape statistics. And we're going to go to Germany. This is an article from the freespeechunion.org by Frederick Attenborough, published, I think, yesterday, about a young AfD politician convicted after publishing gang rape statistics in connection with Afghan migration. So it says here, a member of Germany's right-wing Alternative für Deutschland party has had her conviction for incitement to hatred upheld on appeal after using government statistics to warn that Afghan immigrants are disproportionately liable to commit sexual violence against women and girls. The judge at Verden Regional Court in Lower Saxony ruled that the text of the articles had been taken out of context, and any reasonable person would therefore perceive her post to be inciting hatred.
Posting the statistics is inciting hatred.
Yes, because apparently statistics are there just to show that the statistical agency or whatever agency is neutral. But on the other hand, anyone who is trying to interpret the data is clearly trying to say that this is an incitement to hatred.
What's the point of having data if you don't interpret it?
To maintain the idea that you have a neutral statistical agency that allegedly gives data to people and allegedly doesn't have a problem with circulating data. But on the other hand, anyone who is trying to interpret those data with respect to particular ways are being branded as being inciting hatred.
I think this is one of the reasons that places like the UK, if you go on the ONS website, they won't give you crime breakdowns by ethnicity. You can find arrest rates, and you can find prison population rates by ethnicity, but you can't find crime rates because people are more likely to search primarily for crime rates rather than those other two metrics that you can look by. So they try and hide the data because they know from looking over at other countries like Germany and like America with the FBI statistics that people will look at these and form conclusions and notice patterns.
Exactly. And in many reports, they have summary number one, and they say 3-4 times that all these should not be interpreted in a way that suggests that particular groups could be, let's say, more prone to violence. Because all of this is just basically a cover-up of multiculturalism and a cover-up of what is going on, and a forced interpretation of the issue as boiling down just to economics. So they're going to say, we give you the data, we give you the statistics, you're not going to interpret it in any other way other than saying that all these problems are caused by, let's say, dire economic conditions. So the cure for this is to not talk about it and give more money to members of these groups who commit more violence, because more violence is committed just because of poverty.
And then
so
again,
that's the forced interpretation, the only interpretation people are allowed to make of this. And it's funny because, you have a lot of people on the left constantly talking about people on the right, saying that they're very economically reductive and that they frequently neglect the importance of culture. But here's the exact opposite. Everything now is going to boil down to economics because they find that this rhetoric helpful to promote their agenda at the minute.
And again, to boil it down to its simplest term, all of this is in the pursuit of making you less safe. All of it is in the pursuit of making you less safe. Because if you don't have the right information to be able to inform the decisions that you make, you will make bad decisions. And those bad decisions could put you in danger.
Okay, so the original offense took place in August 2021, a few weeks before the country took to the ballot box for federal elections and state elections in Berlin and Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, when Kaiser wrote on social media, Afghanistan refugees, Hamburg SPD, mayor for unbureaucratic admission, welcome culture for gang rape. No, question mark, close quote. The 27-year-old politician went on to warn about the threat posed to women by culturally alien masses. Now, she based that on the statistics of the government agency. And let me just give you some of the data here. It says in 2023, there were 419,000 Afghans residing in Germany. And at the end of 2013, there were barely 67,000. So in 10 years, there have been around 52,000 people from Afghanistan to Germany. And there are also some other statistics. She said that she justified her concern about what she says is uncontrolled immigration by referring to a series of newspaper articles that cited official government statistics showing Afghans are disproportionately involved in the perpetration of sexual crimes in Germany. And she cites evidence here that are saying that figures released by the Federal Criminal Police Office of Germany, BKA, in 2022 revealed that a total of 677 gang rapes were recorded in 2021, up from 300 in 2018. Although non-German citizens comprise just 13.7% of the country's total population, they were suspects in exactly half of those cases. And again, here there is a separate report. Now, we should say that being a suspect of something like that isn't the same as being guilty, but it is important to have this in mind. So it says there that a separate report earlier that same year also indicated that from 2009 to 2020, the proportion of non-German suspects in group sexual assault cases grew from close to 30% to close to 41%, while recorded cases of sexual assault jumped from 35 to 50%. So these are all data that she shared. Now,
those are both enormous leaps in only 11 years.
those are enormous leaps, and
a tiny population.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and the fact that she would face such a punishment for this is just mind-blowing.
And again, it's making you, the native to Germany, less safe, because if you look at the statistics again broken down, for instance, in America, you see that interracial crime generally goes one way, which is that white people get victimized.
So the important thing here to note is that the data is circulated in order to force the economic interpretation that all sorts of overrepresentation of particular groups in crime are to be traced only in dire economic straits and not to any other thing, such as cultural differences or other cultures. For instance, in sociology, in academic departments, we constantly hear the myth being circulated that men in the West somehow adopt a kind of rape culture, which is obviously false. Okay, obviously false. But people are not allowed to talk about other cultures that may be a bit more prone towards that, and things like that are well documented. Right. Jordan Peterson is talking about the event. He says, remember when the Venezuelan government made it illegal for physicians to report death by starvation? I do. It's illustrating how just silly all this is. Right. Let's go now to Paris. We're going to go to Paris because Paris is going to stage the Olympic Games this summer. And a lot of people write here what I'm going to tell you in light of the Olympic Games. But it's not just tourists who live in Paris. It's not just the tourists who are going to be there for the Olympic Games. Paris had a lot of people living there. So we have here by Robert Simonson in the European Conservative, a article that, according to some people, could be basic, crime report or basic hate speech. I don't think it's hate speech. It says foreigners commit 77% of solved rape cases in Paris in 2023. This is important because it's solved cases. It isn't just suspected cases. It's solved cases, which is a huge number, 77%. It says here with the figures recorded by Paris police headquarters. It's not just some random right-wing commentator. It's the Paris police headquarters revealed that 77% of rape cases in the capital solved in 2023 had been committed by perpetrators who do not hold French passports. And they say down that the Paris police headquarters report revealed 97 rapes were recorded across the capital in 2023, a figure up by 2% compared to those from 2022. But they say before this past year, the number has stayed relatively stable since 2018. Of the total recorded cases, 30 were solved with 36 perpetrators being arrested. You can check a bit more if you want, and there are links to the reports. Now, we have another here, just another illustration. It says here in Remix, France, foreigners commit 69% of robberies, violent crimes, and sexual assaults on public transport.
And it's pointing out here, it's saying foreigners, so it's not specifying the place of origin of these foreigners. It's just meaning people who don't come from France, nor do they have French passports.
Yes, and this is important because it works also in the reverse case, because when native crime is being counted, you don't know exactly whether they count it in terms of ethnicity or in any other way.
Actually, in this article, in this article,
3% of the population are African, but they make up 52% of the crime there.
Violent robberies and other violent crimes. Yeah, so the worst kind of crime you want to be representing.
So let's go to Canada, because Trudeau is one of the most woke politicians. We have here from Postmillennial, Elon Musk and Jordan Peterson blast Trudeau for proposed Orwellian law targeting free speech of Canadians. Now, they're talking here about Bill C-63, which is, again, one of the worst pieces of legislation, along with the Scottish Hate Crime Act and the Irish Hate Speech Bill.
Is that the same one that Peterson got into trouble for protesting years ago? Is it the same legislation, or was that an older piece of legislation?
I think that was Bill C-16.
16, yeah, I think you're right.
He has been in trouble with many of these bills, I think, multiple times, because obviously these bills are against
they're terrible.
Speech. Yes. And we're going to talk about Bill C-63 a bit, because there are clauses within it that seem to open up the gateway to retroactive punishment of free speech. And we're going to look here at the Bill C-63. We can go on part 3. Everyone who is interested in legal stuff like I am, they can go check on the website. I know, Callum, you don't think many people are interested here. So in section 13, you can see here sub-clauses 1, 2, 3, 8, and 9. They're talking about communication of hate speech, and they say it is a discriminatory practice to communicate or cause to be communicated hate speech by means of the internet or any other means of telecommunication in a context in which the hate speech is likely to foment detestation or vilification of an individual or group of individuals on the basis of a prohibited ground of discrimination. Now, this is absolutely subjective, and it is, in a sense, the gateway to punish a lot of claims retroactively.
Because again, Jordan Peterson could be charged under something like this when he's been talking about the trans issues.
He would definitely, but it's even more than that, because it isn't just the trans lobby that is here. It's also more prevalent in any kind of group politics, except for the natives. So that's why I'm saying that it is deliberately designed to be a double standard, in terms of which all non-native groups in each Western country are going to have preferential treatment. All natives are going to constantly be subjected to a rhetoric that tells them how bad they are, how much white guilt they have, how much their dominant culture is evil and the worst thing ever. There has no evil has ever been perpetrated in the world before Western culture, and that's what native Westerners are going to be subjected to. And here you can also see it's when it says it's likely to cause the same thing. According to this rationale, according to this rationale, the official statistics that the AfD member cited were likely to cause hatred.
Now illegal.
Yeah. So now, according to this, just publishing statistics that claim that some groups are overrepresented in crime is likely to induce incitement to hatred.
It just amazes me how much Trudeau wants to ruin Canada on the way out. Like, the dude's political career is over and is still doing crap like this.
Yep.
I suppose it's rigging the deck, maybe? Is this the last huzzah? Just arrest your political opponents for retrospective speech? I mean, maybe that's why he's doing it. I honestly don't know why the hell you'd do this unless you're a mental case.
It's just crazy how you see lots of politicians, they really push forward some deeply unpopular agendas. And here we have, for instance, pick Nicola Sturgeon. She lost the premiership.
First minister.
She lost the position of the first minister just for the trans issue for the trans lobby. So here we're gonna talk. Excuse me, sorry. I wanted to show you something else here, also to see how the definition of hate speech. Clause 8 here, it says, in this section, hate speech means the content of a communication that expresses detestation or vilification of an individual or group of individuals on the basis of a prohibited ground of discrimination. Well, the question is, who decides what is prohibited? And what this is doing, again, I will repeat it, is it forces a particular interpretation of the overrepresentation of some groups in crime. And I will say, obviously, economics play a part, but they don't exhaust. They don't exhaust all the reasons. economics do not determine culture 100%. There is a kind of autonomy of culture from the economic sphere. And that is precisely why we shouldn't just view the issue of multiculturalism and immigration in terms of GDP or economic indexes.
And again, Canada is experiencing some of the benefits of multiculturalism that we've been experiencing over here for a long time, because they've had a massive influx of foreigners, I think, in the past 20 years, like most Western countries have. Which is, I've seen some videos pop up on my Twitter feed of people speaking to obviously non-Canadian Canadians in the cities who pushed out the OG Canadians who originally lived there, complaining that now there are foreigners moving into their neighborhoods, ruining their neighborhoods. Oh, you're changing the culture. All of a sudden, all of my shops are changing and they're owned by all of these foreigners. I can't believe it. I can't stand it. So, as always, you import the world, you get the world's interethnic conflicts. This is the most obvious thing that anybody could ever have said about anything, but our leaders don't care.
I moved to Canada, it turned into a Jamaican neighborhood, and now it's been replaced with the Curry Mile. No!
Yep.
And I will end with this link by the Spiked Online from, I think, Tom Slater. Yes, so he's talking about the fall of woke tyrants, and he's talking about Leo Varadkar, Hamza Yusuf. He's talking about Jacinda Ardern and Trudeau. But I want to say that I'm not as optimistic as he is, because the issue is good if woke politicians leave stage. But the problem is wokeism hasn't gone, and I don't think it will go away. And not particularly because of some other interpretations I've heard, like we've reached peak liberalism and stuff like that. I don't think that's true in any way. I think it's just a purely Machiavellian thing. It's the best way to divide the population and just divide the population and play divide and conquer and disintegrate the domestic population into a battle of pressure groups and try to control them.
Yeah, the natives just become another interest group among interest groups who aren't able to achieve anything that they want, because otherwise you might have some kind of competition.
Yeah, and just to bear in mind that there are infinite ways to categorize people and infinite ways to discriminate in line of such categorization. So even if all these letters that are now present in the woke calendar or the woke acronyms just stopped being promoted, there could be other letters. It's just the structure of the thing. So it's not so much an issue of persons, it's more an issue of the principles and that they are on which they act.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Epoch series, this episode on Gaius Gracchus. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.